Good morning and welcome to the Demolition Daily. It's not the Demolition Daily at all. It's the business briefing for the month of December. Now, regular viewers will know that I normally keep Neil Edwards tucked away in a dark cupboard up until I've done an intro, but I'm going to do things slightly differently today. And if you bear with me, I think you'll find out why. So December is always a quiet month for construction contract award activity. In 2020, December was also the month in which Brexit finally became a reality, and in which the UK found itself facing a second wave of coronavirus and, to go with it, tough new Tier 4 restrictions. So bearing in mind that the £4 billion per month has become the benchmark for construction contract award activity, Neil, what were the scores on the doors in that very, very quiet, Brexit-affected, COVID-affected December 2020?
£12.24 billion worth of contract awards. Yes.
Just how 2020 is that? You know, just take all predictions, all tradition, just throw them out the window and let's go and do something completely. How the hell did that come about?
Well, I'm not one to sort of like say things that the government do sort of like, I think it was once said, wasn't it, bring out bad news on a positive day or all at once or something. But yes, I think the government pushed forward some signatures of two HS2 major contracts during the month, which equated to about £8.5 billion worth of work. So if you do take that off, those signature projects off of the general overall total, you do get £4 billion. So yes, there's two major projects that have come out this month, and that's where they are really, the HS2, which is fantastic news, which is what the government needed to do, is to start to give us some hope and light at the end of the tunnel, and that's what they've done this month.
We'll get on to the details of those projects in a second, but that in some ways that it's kind of a triple whammy, isn't it? Obviously, it's a big boost going into a new year. It helps counteract any fears and concerns over COVID and over Brexit. I think it helps redress some of the balance because obviously, we've spent the last 12, 24, 36 months talking about how much we're reliant upon house building. But also, I would imagine this has helped redress the balance on the running year total as well.
Absolutely, yeah. When you're looking at that, last year in 2019, the running year total was £62.8 billion. Whereas the running total this year is over £80 billion. There's not so many projects in 2020 compared to 2019, and that's because you've got these hero projects at the top, which are in aggregation sort of like huge numbers. So and if you take 2018, that was 51 billion. So we're up nearly nearly 40% compared to 2018 in 2020. So fantastic year, really.
Absolutely. Just as I say, just an incredible way to start the new year. So let's have a look at those individual projects. Who won them and what were they?
Well, number one on the list was a joint venture for Balfour Beatty and Vinci, and this project is the West Midlands section of the HS2 phase 1 route. It's spanning approximately 80 kilometres, and that's from Long Itchington in Warwickshire to the centre of Birmingham and to Hans Acre in Staffordshire as well. There's going to be something like 42 viaducts, 11 kilometres of those viaducts, 66 bridges, and 35 significant cuttings through the land. So it's a huge project, absolutely huge project, and that has now been registered with also Considerate Constructors scheme, which we are a partner with. So the process has started. They will be monitored on site, and we're keeping fingers crossed. This is going to be obviously a support for the construction industry going forward.
It's interesting that the Balfour Beatty element of that. We obviously talk about the various people on the BC Live League table, and Balfour Beatty are quite often sort of out of the way. They're a bit like that big name striker that you paid 100 million for, that does absolutely bugger all for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then just comes up with this amazing wonder goal, and everyone remembers how great they are. That's Balfour Beatty all over, isn't it?
Yes, at the moment, definitely. They've gone through a restructuring program over the last 5 years, and done it very successfully. And this is what the outcome is. Is they are now one of those companies that you quite rightly say. People say, "Wow, Balfour Beatty, what a great company indeed." But yeah, that's a huge project for them. We don't know the split between the two, and you never will know the split between Vinci and Balfour Beatty, because that's obviously contractual, and that's very, that's for their own work, it's obviously. But yeah, great start to 2021, so which we're all looking forward to.
And that was one of two, wasn't it?
Yeah, the second one is a joint venture between 4 businesses. Now, I wrote these down. Their joint venture is called EKFB, and I think it's spelled or said Effiage, is it Effiage? Kia Group, Ferrovial, and BAM. So that's where you obviously get the EKFB from. This is for North Portal Chiltern Tunnels to Brackley and South Portal of Long Itchington Wood Green Tunnel. So that's more on the tunnel side, it seems. I haven't got any further details on that, but it's highlighted around sort of like the Milton Keynes to Birmingham section as well. And that project's worth, what we've got down here is £2.5 billion. And that also has been registered with the Considerate Constructor Scheme. So it's all starting to go now.
From just a pure workload point of view, what a great way to start the year. I don't know quite what the employment is on that, although tunnels and viaducts tend to be very labour intensive. So there's going to be a huge pull on workers, which fantastic news. What a great way to start the year.
And machinery, obviously, and people have got to build those machinery, and you just it just goes on and on and on. Even if you take it back down to the smallest element of maybe I don't know, valves, pumps, etc. There's obviously going to be huge dewatering going on. Oh well, it's a huge great boost to the construction sector.
Absolutely. So I guess there's going to be quite a big fall off after those two projects. Yeah. Who came in number 3?
Well, it's kind of like After the Lord Mayor's Show in a way, really. But it's Costains, and they've picked up nearly a £500 million project for it's for the Regional Delivery Partnership North Scheme, and it's for some road repairs, and it's a project that goes on for a number of years, but it's been registered, and it's £482 million worth of work. Fourth on the list is ISG Group. Now they've got an accumulative total of £403 million for the month, and that's 3 projects, the largest of which is for a production facility for lithium batteries at the former Blythe Power Station, which is obviously something for the future. Yes, it will be It will be exclusively use renewable energy, including the potential to use hydroelectric power generated and transmitted from Norway, some 447 miles away, under the North Sea via the world's longest interconnection from the North Sea Link project. So yeah, that another huge project, £300 million there.
That's an interesting one. You're taking a former coal-fired power station and using sort of renewable energy and lithium technology as well. That I guess that's the sort of thing we should be looking towards for, the future as we speak. Well,
I think Boris Johnson has said, and many other politicians have said, the green renewable sector has to be a way forward for the UK, whether it be in cars, batteries, or how we actually deal with our heating of our homes. And I think it's not going to be long, as we know, until boilers, gas-fired boilers, are going to become defunct in the construction sector, or in buildings, not even the construction sector, should I say buildings. So and we'll be looking for renewable energies going forward, and this is obviously part of that infrastructure works.
No, fantastic stuff. Who's up next?
Number 5 on the list is Boma and Kirkland. Now, they've picked up a project in various locations around the UK it's on the actual your build framework agreement to serve public sector bodies, and that's a £100 million project. They've picked up 6 projects overall. As I say, the largest of is the 100 million, but their overall total is about 250 million pounds. And then after that, you've got Vistry Group, which includes Bovis Homes. They split a couple of years ago, 18 months ago, I think they did. And Vistry Group have picked up something like 193 million pounds worth of work over 10 projects, largest being a 35 million pound project in Axminster, down in, where's that, near Devon, Exeter, down that neck of the woods. And our weather vane for the month, each month is normally Kia Group, and once again, yes, they have secured something like 25 projects this month, largest of which is a project in Marylebone, London. But their overall total is 191 million, and they're once again showing the fact that they normally pick up just about a project per day across the UK each year.
It's a remarkable achievement, the fact that they just continue to do that month in, month out, isn't it?
And they do, yeah. It is a remarkable. They should. The network of staff that is needed for that amount of work. Because if there's 25 new projects, there's 25 site managers and contracts managers. It's a magnificent achievement. Magnificent achievement.
In terms of sectors, obviously, I guess rail and infrastructure has had quite a boost this this past month. I
should say that.
Yeah. How is house building faring in comparison?
Well, yes, they're second. Overall railways took up over £8.5 billion worth of work this month, and second on the list was housing at 2.1 million. So between the two, you've got there something like 10.6 billion. Where the other sectors are obviously just made up of bits and pieces. So yeah, we've been calling for it, or I've been saying about it, that the infrastructure needs to catch up from the house building, and it looks like this month it has. But it's not just going to be this month; it's got to be the continuing months that we've got to make sure our infrastructure is suitable for the house building that we've actually been doing across the UK.
Yeah, it begs the question also about HS2. I mean, obviously we had, what was it, best part of 18 months ago, I guess, we had the first big splurge of HS2 projects arrive, and then we had another splurge after that. It currently feels like it's the gift that keeps on giving, but sooner or later all of that work is going to be allocated, and we need to find whatever follows on after that, don't we?
Yeah, we do, and that's going to be the challenge for the future. I go on about it. I think it's my little soapbox that I stand on every month. We've got to sort these hospitals out. We can't just keep saying we're going to be giving, was it now 46, 47 hospitals? We've got to get doing it. But I do understand that probably the design of those hospitals has slightly got to be amended with hindsight now after the COVID and other viruses that may be coming of the future, because they just can't be similar to what they are, because it's shown that they don't work particularly well. Something like, I did read up on this, that something like 10% of all beds in our hospitals in the UK are not being used because it needs to be spread out further, and that is equating to something like 11,000 beds aren't being used or cannot be used because of COVID. So we've got to look at that in our designs going forward.
Yeah, absolutely right. What about locations? I mean, obviously the HS2 influx has had a big boost for, the Midlands, the wider Midlands as a location.
And Buckinghamshire, yeah, obviously, yeah, those two areas are the big ones this month, really. Yeah, West Midlands is is over £6 billion worth of work, and Buckinghamshire is over £2.5 billion worth of work. But London has achieved over the £1 billion mark this month. It's 1.7 billion. Scotland has taken a bit of a hit this month. It's something only like £77 million worth of work. And because of that job which I was talking to you about for Costains, the northern section is over 800 million this month. So there is a little bit, but it's difficult to look at this one month in particular, because it is such a strange month, and it's, as you say, it reflects 2020. It's been strange, hasn't it? It's been very, very strange.
Yeah, very much so. Now, I do realise that you deal purely in facts, but I also know that you're an avid industry watcher. So what are you expecting 2021 to bring? I mean, obviously, we've got maybe 25 weeks' time. We've got all of this work is scheduled to start at HS2 and that kind of thing. But what are you looking at beyond that?
Well, if we look at the number of bids that are currently out with main contractors and forward projection, that is a little, the cupboard is a little bit bare at the moment. And my concern is with this probable decision today that the country is going to go into further measures regarding COVID. I do worry about the first 3 or 4 months of 2021, but then I can see it picking up once we get past the April and the spring comes around. But it's how long we can actually keep these 3 or 4 months going for staff, etc. What is great news is obviously the Chancellor has extended furlough up to the end of April, which does support, won't help everybody, but will support a number of businesses to maintain that they will be around when it does get a little bit better. I think that's what we're all doing. So what does 2021? I think we've got to work doubly hard in 2021, unfortunately, to actually just break even because of what happened in 2020. And I know a number of businesses are looking at their business plans that they may have done over 5 years and radically changed them, or changing them for this year, because to achieve what they set out those 2 or 3 years ago is not going to be achievable. You've just got to survive this period, and I don't like saying that, really, but that's what
we're in that strange position again, though, aren't we? In that construction, once again, as it was in the first lockdown, you know, it has this key worker status, and construction's already proved once that it will just soldier on. And I think the £12 billion announced in December is further evidence of that. You know, countries going into lockdown and we're still away doing our thing, aren't we?
Yeah.
Quite how straightforward that's going to be in the months ahead remains to be seen, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I hope it's going to give everybody confidence. It's all about confidence. Everybody's about confidence, and we need confidence out there. And because it seems that things hadn't been changing, and then we got this new variant. Confidence was being hit all the time, but now we've got the 2 vaccines available. We are hopefully getting past this. I know these next 2 or 3 weeks are going to be very difficult for everybody because of what happened just before Christmas, whether we mixed too much or whatever, but these next 2 weeks are going to be difficult for everybody. So I hope, I am keeping my fingers crossed, I hope we really do maintain the levels of what we had this year in 2021.
I guess the other question, and because it's rolled on for quite as long as it has, you know, Brexit has almost become a bit of a sideshow as far as COVID is concerned.
Yes.
You know, but it's official now. You know, we've got, you know, anticipated queuing at the M20 the M20 motorway, which anyone that's ever travelled on the M20 will know that it doesn't take a great deal for that to happen anyway.
No.
Are you anticipating a major Brexit fallout, or do you think we've had enough time to prepare ourselves?
I think we're going to deal with it. I really do. I think there are going to be hiccups that some political commentators who aren't my friends at the moment, really, because I think we're looking too negatively, and some news reporters will pick up upon. But I'd rather see the whole of it. You know, we might be talking about sort of like one or two areas that have problems, but I think we'll be able to deal with it at the end of the day. And it's just learning new things. I read I saw on the news, was it yesterday, something about British Airways, or some flights were nationals from the UK were having problems going back to Spain. But that's only in the first few days. You know, there's lots of things to sort out, and I'm sure we'll do it. We're adaptable. We're very adaptable, and I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've had a couple of comments in here from our friend Peter Haddock. Happy New Year to you both. You're right, Neil, all about confidence. What's he got here? We see a lot more work coming down the pipeline. Opportunity. One of the things that really struck me, having survived 2020, is I think a lot of our issues come down to attitude. You know, I think there were those that just, oh, woe is me, you know, we've got this coronavirus and we've got Brexit coming down the line and we need to hunker down. And there were others just went, do you know what? No, I'm going to roll my sleeves up, I'm going to get stuck in. And those are the companies. You're really going to look at the likes of Kia that we've mentioned. You know, that they are maintaining that level of activity. Balfour Beatty, Vistry, all these people, you know, they've just knuckled down and cracked on, and look where they are now.
Absolutely, and I think, yeah, my hat's off to them. You know, that they have looked at it not as they've just said we have got to do something, otherwise we could sit back and do nothing, and doing nothing we're going to be way, you know, it's going to be terrible. So they've said, right, let's do this, and do this. Yeah, there's going to be opportunities. I think you're going to have to look in different places sometimes. You know, as I said, I think a couple of months ago, we're not looking at the retail sector, or shall we say the entertainment sector, to support the construction industry in 2021, because they'll only just be getting back on their feet. But yeah, after that, everything's different. I think we're going to be looking at, you know, we're going to be buying things very differently, and that's going to be via hubs or via online, and those are going to be via transport hubs. So the likes of, I can see, we already see in Northampton and places like that, which is in the centre of the UK, the amount of industrial units or warehouses or whatever going up is huge, and that's going to be an opportunity for some people. We're just going to have to look in different places. Yeah,
it's interesting actually. Certainly towards the back end of last year, you know, I got to the point, because I spent a lot of my time on demolition sites. You know, the general question is what's going here afterwards, and you expect it to be housing. Towards the back end of last year, it was either mixed use or it was warehousing, because, you know, let's face it, that's where we're heading. You know, and it's interesting that mixed use development. I think that was kind of prescient of the industry to start looking at that. You know, if I were in full blown lockdown, I'd love to be in lockdown in a place where I've got my shops and my gym all within one block, and I don't have to travel anywhere. You know, maybe that's a sign of things to come.
Yeah, we couldn't even have thought about it, you know, in 2019 that was going to be it. But you're right, you know, we are going to be looking at things differently, and I hope we're going to be able to travel around, and no more than myself. I love traveling the UK and the world, but yeah, we may have to look at things very, very differently, and mixed use developments, as you say, warehouses, but that also means that infrastructure has to, but going back to that, infrastructure has to be able to support those type of things, really, and that includes broadband fibre networks, etc., etc. We've got to get that up to world-class standards, whereas at the moment I just think we're just in the sort of like championship of that compared to the rest of the world. We need the UK, and I mean the UK, the whole of the UK, to have world-class broadband connectivity.
No, absolutely. Well, as somebody that relies upon it for his very livelihood, yeah, couldn't come soon enough. Neil, it's been an absolute pleasure, as it always is.
Thank you very much.
It's really good to speak to you on such a positive note, and particularly at the beginning of the year. We can only hope that we can carry that forward and see more of that in the months ahead.
Yeah, definitely. One thing, you know, in 2020, something like over 1,700 companies also are detailed as winning new work on our BC Live table, which is fantastic. As I say, 80 billion pounds worth of work. Kia's overall, we believe, I've got something like 226 projects in 2020. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So yeah, we should really be singing from the rooftops on this one, definitely.
No, absolutely right. And just one final point, which I often forget to allow you to do. Where can people find out more? We are. Despite all that we've said about December and the positivity around HS2, we are still living in uncertain times when we need access to the very latest and totally reliable information. Where can people find out more?
Okay. Well, we deal in real-time information, so it's real-time live information. We as soon as we find that information, we put it on our portal which you can go. So if you go to buildersconference.co.uk and ask, there is ask for a demo, we'll get back to you. And we've got all our information carried on a platform that we call Sereno, and Sereno. Why it's got its name Sereno. Sereno is a place in Italy where pure water comes from. A lot of water bottles or fresh water is supplied from there, and obviously we're saying our information is pure, so hence we got Sereno as our strapline for our platform. But yeah, all our information is collected and it's live. As soon as our researchers find it, it goes on there. It isn't kept back. It isn't held back. So it's a commercial entity to say, right, okay, when you pay us a little bit more, we'll give you a little bit more. No, we give you full access to everything there and then. You can search forward, backwards, upside down, whichever way you want. So yeah, go to buildersconference.co.uk. And what we talk about here is also the BC Live table. Now that's free to everybody. So if you go to bclive.co.uk, that is it's just a league table of information. It's the aggregation at the top of our information, and as you well know by seeing me on here, both Mark and I are keen football supporters, and the table really came around from sort of like the Premiership or the Championship or whatever. So as a goal goes in, as a contract award is awarded, companies go up and down the table, and that's really it. So go to bclive.co.uk.
Yeah, and I'd really encourage people to do that because, as you've said, and as Peter Haddock verified there, we are in the confidence business. The more warm we're feeling about the world, the better we tend to be. And the BC Live League table, particularly at the moment, and particularly over the past 6 or 9 months or thereabouts, it is a reminder of the fact that things are still cracking on. We are. If you watch the news, you'd think the world was coming to an end, and we're going to be in desperate isolation and facing COVID alone and all that kind of thing. And then you look at the BC Live League table, and it is like a shot in the arm in itself, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's confidence. It's all about confidence, and we can show that confidence by you can review the table through. I think it goes back through to 2019. So it's got historical information there, so you can track it as well through there. So it's just an easy look, really. And all that information, the detail from that information, obviously, is where membership to the Builders Conference, you get that, and that's via our platform on Sereno. So.
Superb. Neil, I'm going to let you get back to the day job, given the fact that if you're anything like me, what is it now? It's nearly 11 o'clock and I'm already too tired to even think about the rest of the day. Oh, I just had a very quick question in here from Peter. Before you finish, what does Neil think about refurbishment and offices, workspaces in more provincial towns? Good question, Peter.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's just taken for my own. We are looking at where we're going to be as a company. Do we need our offices? So I do believe that a number of office blocks will probably change in provincial towns. And what I mean by that is I don't think they'll be demolished, not all of them. I think they're going to be change of use. And I think what you'll see is a lot more apartments used or housing in those, because it's a very quick to actually change it into a money-making, because we got to also look at the fact that we got to still make money in this world. So at the moment, if there's nobody in those offices, we need to return some costs or some money very quickly. So changing them into apartments and flats and houses, etc., is an easy win, is a quick win. So I do see that as an emerging sector in 2021.
Yeah, just need to sort out the planning that goes along with that, of course.
Yeah, well, there's the I don't want to. No, there's the challenge, because we've, and that's what we've got to do, is take the blinkers off. At the moment, we can be so blinkered, and planners have got to look at it and say, right, okay, that was the old book. We're in a new book now. 2021 is a totally new book. You can't look back and say, oh no, we never used to do it like that. Well, we are going to have to do it like this now, and that's the end of it.
No, absolutely. Particularly when you think about, the fact that we still have an issue with homelessness in this country, and yet we have, as you say, disused offices, disused or slightly dilapidated properties, that could be converted very, very quickly. And even when you look at sort of high streets and that kind of thing, there are shops that have closed pre-COVID or because of COVID that are never coming back. For the sake of waving the magic pen on planning, that there's housing there just waiting to be had, isn't there?
Yeah, we've got to look at our town centres and look at them totally differently. We do need to mix and match. And you're right that you come and visit me in Sutton, and Sutton High Street has changed immensely over the last 18 months, and now in the last 9 months it's changed even more. And many of those units towards the bottom end of Sutton, near the and people might know it, near the supermarket down there, have just been empty for a year. So why not change them? Why not get some money income? Why not regenerate the actual high street by putting in people rather than sending people away?
Very much so. Well, Neil, it's been a pleasure. You get back to the day job. I'll do whatever it is that I do for a living. I've got to be honest, I'm still struggling to remember exactly what that is. I shall speak to you again in the very near future. Well, this time next month.
Yes, okay.
And hope that the news. I'm not expecting another 12 billion, but hopefully the news will be just as positive when we speak again at the end of the month.
I hope so as well. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
All the best.
And you.